Hello internet world and welcome to today's live broadcast. In today's video I have got something very special for anyone who's remotely interested in gaming. Not gaming on a console, but gaming on either a desktop or a laptop, or indeed somebody who just wants a really good input device for their computer. Now, I come from a graphic design background, not a hardened gamer as such, and I appreciate really good peripherals from my computer. I like having a wireless keyboard and a trackpad. I've primarily switched over to using a trackpad nowadays. But a good mouse for doing things like Photoshop, intricate video editing, and of course gaming is a really good investment. So I'm going to be showing you one of the very latest mice or rodents from Logitech, and it's sitting just off to the side of me here. So I'll be showing you the Logitech G903 Lightspeed wireless gaming mouse. Now, before I do so, we're going to do a little bit of a recap on what has been happening over the last week on the Geekanoids channel. And just to refresh my memory, I'm going to refer to some of my notes because we've had so many videos and streams go out on Geekanoids this week. We of course looked at a really awesome vacuum cleaner from Vorwerk, and then one of the first live broadcasts we did earlier in the week was looking at some really cool software from MacFun. Now, the software I showed you is for manipulating photographs and doing it very easily and effectively and getting some stunning results. So if you haven't seen that live broadcast, it is available through the archives on the Geekanoids channel, of course. I also did a video about the Fossil Q Explorist smartwatch. Now, I personally don't use my Apple Watch anymore, but I was really amazed and really impressed, in fact, with the quality of the Fossil Q Explorist. When it was turned on, and indeed even in its off state, it's got a really good quality about it, almost like a traditional wristwatch. And in fact, with some of the watch faces you could assign to it, it looked like a traditional watch from a distance. So I think they did a really good job on the hardware. I also kicked off the watch lifestyle rebranding of my other channel on youtube.com/watch lifestyle with a look at a Squale Atmos watch. This is a mechanical dive style watch, so if you're not subscribed to Watch Lifestyle, please do check that out as well. And then I also showed you the Sony Xperia XZ1, and I started that off with a little sneak peek last week. This week I did my 4K video test, so you saw a recording actually made with the Xperia XZ1, and the comments I got back from you, the viewers, were indeed, apart from one of the focusing issues, which was me putting the subject matter too close to the smartphone, both the video and the audio quality on the Sony Xperia XZ1 is top notch. So again, if you haven't seen that, check back through last week's videos and you can see how well that actually performs. And then I also did a really nice long live broadcast, which was one of my first mega gadget collections actually live. And I took a look at a whole host of different technology and gadgets in that one video, including a 4K action camera. And the price on this action camera is absolutely amazing. So again, if you didn't see my mega gadget collection this week, do check it out for all of the technology I show you, but in particular that action camera, which just goes to prove that you don't have to pay GoPro prices to actually achieve good quality action footage. Now, admittedly, on the action camera the 4K video is at a lower frame rate, but even if you regard it as a full HD 1080p action camera, and this was the Hamswan action camera in this particular video, so even if you drop it down in resolution to 1080p, amazing results, and you get all of the accessories you need without spending even a fraction of what you would for a GoPro. So it really is amazing how technology sort of shifts its way down through the channels, and you can pick up some fantastic bargains. And the same applies to smartphones nowadays, of course. I've got my Xperia XZ1 here. I'm going to be bringing you my review of this, I think, on Monday or Tuesday of next week. And this is a very affordable, this is the XZ1 Compact, very affordable smartphone. We've also got the HTC U11 Life, which a lot of you have asked for me to cover. I have reached out to HTC about that, and the HTC U11 Life gives you some really good features and good performance and a good Android experience on a smartphone that in the UK comes in at around about the £350 mark. And this is an Android One offering in the UK, which means that you're going to have a really stock Android experience on it without the HTC Sense overlay on the top. So hopefully, just hopefully, I will be able to bring you a video showing you that in the near future as well. So very shortly we're going to move on to the Logitech G903. Before I do so, a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in. I really do appreciate it. Hello to Gina, to Sumyu, also to BB Buddies Bits and Al Reed as well, and to everyone else who's joined us in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Sumyu comes in with a very early question: will you get the Razer phone? I covered this in a previous broadcast. I have reached out to Razer. I have not heard back yet. I have also reached out to a carrier in the UK, somebody who's going to be stocking this particular smartphone, and they have said that they should be able to supply me with one as a review unit. So I have roughly about 1 to 2 weeks with it, which is plenty long enough for me to give you my initial impressions, to test out the camera, the actual hardware, and of course that software and user experience, which is what it's all about. So do tune in for that. It's due round about between the 17th and I think the 28th of November, and as soon as it lands in the studio, of course, I'll jump on a live stream and give you my early first impressions of it as I unbox it. So do stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about it. So anyway, I think it's time to move over to taking a look at this mouse from Logitech, and then we'll come back to doing some more questions and answers. This is what the product packaging looks like. It's got like a full colour sleeve around the outside. Let me give you a close-up of this. So this is the Logitech G903. It uses a wireless dongle for this to give you really good poll rate and really good responsiveness, and it's very customizable, so really customizable mouse. But it's also got a really nice feature up its sleeve as well. This is what the inner box looks like, and it's really nicely presented. A really nice box actually. This looks like what I would expect to get one of my watches in. So it's a really nice presentation box, and inside we get the mouse itself, which is already on my desk down there, and then underneath this you get the setup guide inside the box. We also get some more information here. We get a little sort of accessory box which contains weights, because you can change the weight of this. We get a nice long braided cable, which is full size USB to, I think it's micro USB on the opposing end. Let's take a very quick look. Come out the box, you. Yeah, I am right, it is micro USB. I had a feeling then I must be thinking of another product I'm covering in a couple of weeks time. I thought it was USB-C, but this little box inside, let's just show you the box. This has got the little weights in, and also the receiver and the transmitter in here as well. So it's got little tiny weights and little bits you can attach to the mouse to actually change how it feels in the hand. And then the weights, of course, allow you to add up to, I think it's about 10 grams of additional weight onto the mouse. And believe it or not, with a mouse that makes a big difference to how it feels inside the hand. So nice that you get those inside the little carrying case. Now we also, of course, get the mouse itself. It's completely wireless. This actually can be used wired or wireless. You can use it whilst it's charging, but it has got another feature up its sleeve as well. This is where the Powerplay bit comes into the whole equation. I'll talk to you about Powerplay in a short while. So you can use this wired or wired whilst it's charging, or wireless. So that's the first thing to point out. There's also lights, and you can adjust the lighting on it. It's very ergonomic. Let me give you a close-up of this mouse. Very ergonomic. I feel that it suits a right-handed person better, so it's not an ambidextrous mouse, but you could get away with using it on the left hand if you were at a push, but it really is for right-handed people or players. We've got buttons on the side here. We've also got buttons on the top for changing various things, and we've also got a scroll wheel that clicks in, so that's a button as well. We've got really nice glide pads on the bottom. Let me give you a close-up look of the bottom of the mouse. This is where you also can add those extra 10 grams of weight, and there's an on-off switch here as well, and then the micro USB is on the top there. Apple, take note, charging ports on mice belong on the front edge, not on the underside. Take note. Yes, this is done right, and it's very, very comfortable to hold. Also of note, it has got different material here slightly, which is a bit more grippier, and it's also got some texture in the side as well, so it adds to the grip of the mouse. So very, very nicely made, really good quality plastics used in here as well. So let me give you just a rundown on some of the features here. So we've got light speed wireless, which means that you've got really low latency, so it's really responsive. Sometimes with Bluetooth mice you get that little bit of lag, which isn't great for gaming, so that's really useful for gamers. It's also got a really accurate sensor in here, and you can actually feel the acceleration, so it will actually be very responsive from 200 dpi all the way through to 1200 dpi, so very high resolution mouse. Now it is an ambidextrous design, but I just feel it's a lot more comfy in the right hand, but you can add on the buttons, or the button layout. You can sort of take these bits off and actually switch things over, so you can use it left-handed. That's what those extra bits are inside the little box. And of course we've got the customizable weight, so that's well worth noting as well. So an additional 10 grams of additional weight. The mouse weighs 110 grams in its standard format. And then what Logitech do really well is the programmable buttons. So we've got 11 programmable buttons in total, and of course you can use it wired or wireless, as I mentioned earlier. And then we've got programmable RGB lighting, so you can change, for example, how the G lights up. We've also got some additional lighting and LED feedback on here as well, so that's really cool. And the control center that allows you to change the lighting, allows you to program all the buttons, is so nicely done. Very, very nicely done software. Now apart from that, I mentioned Powerplay. Now Powerplay is awesome. Unfortunately Logitech didn't send me the Powerplay edition for this, but this is a Powerplay compatible mouse, and what you can actually get is either this one, I think it's the G900, the G403 and the G703, and definitely this one, the G903. And what it allows you to do is you use a mat, so a mouse mat. It looks really nice from what I've seen, but I haven't been able to test it because alas I wasn't sent one to test. But you plug the mouse mat in, and the mouse mat actually powers and charges the mouse as you're using it. How cool is that? So it does it by some sort of conductive charging, and whilst you're moving the mouse around on the mat, or indeed you leave it there to rest on the mat as well, it will charge the internal batteries. Ingenious. This is what we should have been given many, many years ago for rechargeable mice. So you don't have to dock it or anything, you can just leave it standing on the mouse mat and it's always ready to go. Now that is a really good feature. I really do like that a lot. Comfort wise, this is really comfortable, really nice positioning, and for gamers the fact that you've got that really low lag or low latency is a really big benefit. But for the standard user like me, even I would consider investing in a mouse like this, because I tested it using Final Cut Pro 10 and also Photoshop, and it was really nice and responsive, very, very accurate thanks to that high DPI, and I loved the travel of the buttons. It just was very, very comfortable. Obviously I'm not going to be holding it like that when it's on the desk. We're going to be holding it, you know, at a proper angle, but it's really comfortable, and the side buttons fall just in the right place. Also, I love the scroll wheel. Very, very smooth scroll wheel, and it just worked extremely well. Now I'm used to using a trackpad. In fact, I switched to a trackpad I think about 3 or 4 years ago now, and haven't gone back to using a mouse. But I do use a mouse for Photoshop because a trackpad just doesn't work well when you're doing intricate sort of adjustments, or when you're adding anything to a photo. Brush control is not very good using a trackpad. Maybe that's just me, but I always revert back to a mouse, and something like this is a real boon to graphic designers. It is really very, very good choice indeed. Nicely made, good build quality, and super accurate. This is the Logitech G903. Now I will leave a link to both the Logitech website, so you can purchase from them direct, but also to where you can pick this up on Amazon using my affiliate links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra, just we get a little bit of kickback if you use those links. So really good performance on this mouse, and I can really highly recommend it. Logitech makes superb gear, they really do. I really love Logitech equipment. So let's pop that there and we'll have a look at the questions. Sumyunas says, try to do a live stream with multiple cameras. Oh, the fear of doing something like that. Oh my goodness. I struggle enough just handling virtual cameras on the computer here, where I show you screenshots and images, websites and software. Next week I'm going to show you some more software. Do tune in next Wednesday. I've got a really good software suite to show you, but I struggle enough with that. Adding an additional angle on the camera, wow, that would be very hard, and extra investment as well, which I can't really sort of put extra investment into this at the moment because there's so many devices that you guys are asking me to get in, and I just can't do it at the moment. But it would be another thing to think about. I assume you're referring to perhaps an overhead camera looking down on the product, which would be cool, maybe in the future. Never say never. Still Evolving says, shout out. Yes, shout out to you, thanks very much for tuning in. And Raymond Moore says, mouse looks very nice and ergonomic. It is very ergonomic and it's super smooth, super responsive. Russ B, love Logitech. Where did you see the mat? UK or USA, Dave? It's available in both. So if you look on the Logitech website, or indeed if you look at those Amazon links down in the video description, it will come up as an optional purchase down there. And I think, let me just tell you, so the mat itself, let me see if it does come up, which it doesn't. I thought it did. Oh, here we go. A Powerplay. So the actual mouse pad, which is a big investment, it is £109 for the mouse pad, but it looks really good, and it actually charges through electromagnetic resonance technology. It creates an energy field above its surface and it charges without any cable. So obviously you have to have the mouse mat plugged in, but it means that the mouse itself charges without any cables, which is really good. You have to use a light speed wireless built-in device, so only certain mice actually support this. It's mainly their high performance wireless gaming mice at the moment, but I think it will filter through into other products as well. I also saw a pair of Logitech Bluetooth speakers on some videos today that are like round shape with a little bit coming out the side, look like Mickey Mouse. They look awesome. I really want to get a pair into review. So Logitech, if you are watching this live broadcast, a pair of your Bluetooth Logitech speakers or Logi speakers would be absolutely amazing. I think they were called the MX Matrix, something like that. Cool name as well, but I'd really like to test those on my iMac in the editing room here, and of course share it in a live broadcast. Leave me a comment down below if you want to see a review of the Logitech speakers. So back to the questions. Ryan Barkley, do you have a Nintendo Switch, Dave? No, I don't. We do have one in the family. I don't get time to play games, unfortunately. Social gaming all the way for me, which means on my tablet, on very rare occasions, and on my smartphone probably once a day for about 5 minutes, and that's it. The rest of my time is spent creating rather than playing. But the Nintendo Switch, which we have got in the family, is awesome. Really good graphics. It's proved to be a very popular console, so really good choice. The local Aussie, hey Dave, would you know the Australian pricing for this mouse, or the pricing? I can do the conversions myself. In the UK, the G903 is $129.99, and in Australia, let's give you the Australian one. Where is Australia? Here we go. Let's get you the pricing for this. I'm sure it's available in Australia. It is $192. Is that Australian dollars? $192 in Australian dollars. A bit harder to get in Australia unless you've got a Logitech website in Australia, but you can get it on Amazon. I just checked it now for you, and you can also get it obviously on eBay, I would imagine, in Australia, or another good retailer. So that's the pricing in Australia. Sounds very expensive actually. Not sure what the conversion rate is. Raymond Moore says, how was your Android experience so far, Dave? Well, my Android experience has finished on the Note 8. It's also finished on the Xperia XZ1, and my current experience has switched over to the XZ1 Compact, which is proving very, very good indeed. In fact, I can't wait to bring you my review of this, because this is every bit as good as the larger XZ1, but in a more compact package. And I've been testing the cameras out this weekend so far, taking some really cool pictures of some flowers, and it looks amazing. Really very, very impressed indeed. That's my sort of early sneak peek opinion for you. But the Android experience on the Sony smartphones has been really good. I'm hoping, I've mentioned this in previous broadcasts, to get an HTC U11 Plus. That's what I'm hoping to get hold of. But also my attention has been drawn towards the OnePlus 5T, which I think is launching on the 16th. So next week, latter part of next week, will be available for pre-order. I've reached out to OnePlus as well for a device to bring my review to you. Haven't heard back from them yet, but I'm going to try and get one. I want to really experience that device because it looks very promising, and they've been putting out a lot of sneak sort of peeks of it and teasing us with photos, teasing us with some sort of shots of the actual smartphone, some photos taken with it. Really very, very keen to check that out. If the cameras perform as well as I'm hoping on that one, that could be one of my potential smartphones for switching to Android. Either that or the HTC U11 Plus. So I just hope that either of those companies come back to me and sort of give me the opportunity to share my opinion with you on those two smartphones. Sumyu Nath, do you have any VR headset? I had the new Daydream View from Google. That was really good. I was quite impressed with that. That's one that you put your smartphone in the front. I've also tested the PlayStation VR. It was good, not overly enamoured with it. And also the Oculus Rift, I had a very brief experience with that. I find it quite antisocial. And I think VR headsets, when it becomes more of a social experience, will become much more mainstream. At the moment, I can't see why you would want to isolate yourself to experience a game or a video, when I think of gaming as being something you experience with family and friends. Just my opinion at the moment. When it becomes a more social experience and we've got interaction between 2, 3, 4 people all in a VR world, then yeah, I think it will take off a lot more. Ronak Desai, hi Dave, how is your iPhone 10 with that notch? I'm not speaking about the notch anymore. I covered it in my unboxing and my early opinion of the iPhone 10. I've moved on since. iOS 11 was a mess, and I think Apple need to improve iOS. Then I'll revisit the platform. But for me, I'm still using my iPhone 7 Plus until I get an Android phone that I'm happy with, and then I will make that switch. And I will go back to iOS 11 if and when Apple get their act together. So, you know, it's not for everyone. You make your own choice. Everyone's got their own opinion, and that's just how I'm experiencing things at the moment. It does make me sad, admittedly. It makes me very sad that I don't enjoy using my iPhone at the moment. We've also got Raymond Moore. Very good question. Something that I've been reading up a lot about and watching lots of videos. What are your thoughts of the new Panasonic G9? Wow. Let me get my GH5. The hefty beast. This is my Panasonic GH5. I absolutely love everything about this camera, apart from the autofocus in video, which has been improved with the firmware update. It's pretty reliable now, but still not 100% reliable. Thus, I invested in another camera for the live broadcast, the Sony AX53. But this is an awesome camera for recording video, especially when you put it into manual focus. Nail that focus, good glass on the front. Really good video codec, really good bitrate as well, up to 400 megabits per second, and I just absolutely love it. Now the Panasonic G9 has got a lot of the traits of the GH5 in it, except they've really focused in on photography, and I think it looks awesome. It's got a top plate here, which gives you some of the setting feedback like an LCD display. It's got another beefier control dial on this side for your shooting modes, etc. As well as the main mode dials and everything you expect on a camera. It's got a larger viewfinder, and it does something like, now don't quote me on this, but it's something like 20 frames per second with continuous autofocus, or up to 60 frames per second without continuous autofocus in JPEG and RAW. It also has this high-res composite mode where it takes a number of photos, shifting half a pixel each time to give you an 80 megapixel high-resolution photo. And it also, something that I only just learned, apart from delivering that 80 megapixel composite photo, it also takes a 20 megapixel JPEG and RAW, just in case there's any movement in your frame and it messes up that high res one. Then you've got the 20 megapixel one to fall back on, which is just a single shot. And it looks amazing. It also, as well as focusing on photography, it still delivers 4K video, I think up to 60 frames per second, but only for 10 minutes. Or if you drop the frame rate down, then it will record up to 29 minutes 59 seconds. And it does great video as well. They've also improved the JPEG rendering, so out of the camera you get nicer looking JPEGs. OLED viewfinder with a 0.87 magnification. This is all from memory, so some of it might be slightly wrong, but I think that's pretty accurate. And it's got a beefier grip, so a more ergonomic grip on it. For somebody like me, who has got a lot of micro four thirds lenses, who's got video centric cameras but wants something that's photo centric, so focused on photography, it is mighty tempting. Mighty tempting. But it's £1,699 in the UK, body only, so very expensive investment, but it has piqued my interest. It looks absolutely awesome, and I really am thankful to Panasonic. A big shout out to them for doing something really brave and really focused on photography. Imagine that for sports photography. And because it's micro four thirds, you've got a ×2 crop on the sensor, so 200mm lens becomes 400mm with either 20 or 60 frames per second. Wow, that is going to be a really good performer. Very good indeed. Ryan Barkley, would you ever do 360 video, Dave? Ryan, if you search 360 and Geekanoids on YouTube, you will see some of my 360 degree videos. It looks okay. Again, it's one of those things like VR. I think the technology needs to evolve before I use it more, and it's a good bit of fun, but certainly not full time. Russ B, what about the Sharp Aquos S2? Yeah, it looks very nice, but in the UK, where are you going to buy it? Where are you going to buy a Sharp Aquos smartphone? When their original one came out, their edge-to-edge display, which is the one you might be referring to, although it sounds like they've done another generation now, it was so hard to get hold of in the UK, you had to import it. I'm not into importing smartphones really, but I'd love to take a look at it. Again, if Sharp want to send me one to take a look at, it sounds absolutely awesome. I believe that's one similar to the Razer phone with a 120Hz display as well. Wow, really very interested in that. Rui Abru, any Lego unboxing reviews in your forecast? Some great sets that would sit nicely behind you on that shelf. You know, the last Lego build that I did, or last large Lego build, was my camper van up there, my Lego camper van. It took me and my son in total, with some breaks, about 7 hours to build that, and it's absolutely awesome. I love Lego, and I'd love to do another build. I really would. And I've had my eye on the Simpsons house. I think they also did the Mini Mart. They're two that I'd really like to do. What else did I see just recently? Oh, the Millennium Falcon. That as well. Wow, big set. I'd want to keep that box though. I wouldn't want to unbox it. I'd want to keep it as an investment. I know that sounds sad. I absolutely love Lego. I really do. So anyway, if there's any more questions, now's the time to pop them in the chat. I'm going to be ending the broadcast or wrapping up in round about 2-3 minutes. So any other questions, please do let me know. I'll give you a little bit of a forward look to next week on the channel actually. So next week I'm going to be bringing you my review of the Sony Xperia XZ1 Compact. I've also got a really cool internet broadband product coming up. Next Wednesday I've also got a really good live broadcast. It's a sponsored broadcast but some really cool software. I'm not going to tell you what company yet, but do tune in next Wednesday. If you worry about security on your computers, it's well worth tuning in. I've also got a really nice Christopher Ward watch coming up on the Watch Lifestyle channel, and some really cool headphones. If you're into your exercise while listening to music and you want some extra motivation, then do tune in next Thursday as well. And I've also potentially got this really cool touchscreen monitor. Not sure if that's going to be next week, because I'm still doing my testing with that at the moment, and I like to have tested things for at least 3 or 4 days before bringing you a broadcast. Raymond Moore says, what smart TV are you currently using, Dave? Again, video is on the channel. It's a Sony Bravia 65-inch 4K or UHD HDR TV. I've got a couple of videos on the channel about that. So again, if you search Sony and Geekanoids on YouTube, you should find that. I did my initial impressions of it, and then I did a 1-month follow-up on the TV, and it's really good, especially watching HDR footage. HDR is a much more notable difference than watching 4K. So the difference between 1080p and 4K, less noticeable. Difference between non-HDR and HDR, really very, very noticeable indeed. Great question. So please do check that out. Sumyu Nath asked, what will you do if you wake up tomorrow and see you have 0 subs? I would tweet, email, phone call, and get on a train to Google HQ in London, and I would stay there until they sorted it out. Hopefully that will never happen. And on that note, I am going to end this broadcast. Thank you again to everyone who tuned in. I really do appreciate it. Just in closing, if you are in the market for a really good gaming mouse, or if you're into graphic design, they're the 2 scenarios I'd really recommend this for. This is the Logitech G903. Well worth checking out. Check out the links down below to the Logitech website, and also to the Amazon links as well, where you can pick one up for yourself. Have a fantastic weekend wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again soon in another video on the Geekanoids channel.